Have you wondered about living elsewhere in your retirement? Well, we have almost daily. No, it's not a simple decision, especially when two people are involved.
Hi, this is
Gil
and Gene of Retire There, a podcast about retirement destinations. We live in Brooklyn, New York. Having grown up and worked in this area of the country, we're hoping to relocate when we're both retired. For us, it's the weather, the chaos, the noise, and the yearning to be near nature and not within 3 feet of human beings.
That's right. In February 2020, we embarked on our journey to find that special place. We spent a week in Winter Park, Florida, which is beautiful, but something said it wasn't for us. As we were planning for the next trip, the pandemic arrived. Gene then gave birth.
I gave birth?
To this podcast. With so many baby boomers retiring, many must be relocating. Why not connect with and learn from them?
Here's a little background about us.
I'm Asian, born in Brazil, and grew up in Flatbush, Brooklyn. I'm an engineer turned attorney turned podcaster. I recently retired from a university career practicing higher education law. I loved the academic environment, but it was time to do something else. I no longer have to set an alarm, drive in BQE traffic, or work with people who don't always share the same principles. Ooh, did I just say that? You bet I did. I traded all that in to binge crime dramas into the wee hours, just a little bit, to develop the podcast, to volunteer, practice metalsmithing, tackle our possessions. No regrets so far. Gene?
I'm not Asian, and as Gil mentioned, I'm not retired. I'm just plain tired.
Oh.
Born and raised in Long Island, New York, a place I always wanted to leave. I'm a law librarian working in a court who loves his job, but we're retired by the time we select our ideal location. We will be speaking to folks from across the street to across the globe who have moved to their dream venues and more. So please stay tuned, and remember, if you know anyone who has moved anywhere for retirement, let us know.
Thank you. Ciao a tutti. Did I say that right?
Yes.
Ciao. Okay. Or, as we say in the U.S., hello, everyone. Today, we will be chatting with Nancy and Luther Hampton, who left Alexandria, Virginia, and retired in Umbria, Italy. Umbria is an Italian region bordering Tuscany, Lazio, and Le Marche. Often called the Green Heart of Italy, known for its medieval hill towns, dense forests, and local cuisine, particularly foraged in truffles and wines.
Ooh.
It also has fantastic Roman ruins, as we've seen online. What's not to love? If we were to look on the map of Italy, Umbria appears to be in the middle of the boot when viewing laterally. It has a population of over 882,000 people as of 2019. Like Marche, Umbria is less costly to live in as opposed to northern Italy, such as Tuscany, Florence, and so forth. If you are looking for a less touristy place in Italy, Umbria is highly recommended by many. For me, it might just be the truffle season, which is between November and March to visit, as truffles is simply one of my most favorite foods, or seasoning, or liqueur. But there's a small eatery in our neighborhood in Bay Ridge, Brooklyn, that serves up the most delicious pasta dish, which is infused with truffles. OMG. And we'd like to thank one of our listeners, Nancy Steele, for introducing us to this couple, and as well as the couple living in Marche. So Nancy, hats to you, baby. Thank you. Now here's a little background about our guests. Gene?
Nancy Hampton was born in Lynchburg, Virginia, and grew up in Maryland. She lived most of her life in the D.C. suburbs, except for short stints in Ohio and Philadelphia. Nancy and Luther lived just south of Frankfurt, Germany, for 6 years, and this gave them a taste of living outside the U.S. She worked as a graphic artist and web designer and retired in 2013. The couple moved to Italy in 2014. Nancy likes to cook, mostly ethnic dishes, because she misses it. After having lived in D.C., the home of every embassy in the world, and consequently all their foods, she says Italians as a whole are not terribly curious about things outside their region to include new cuisines. We like eating in new restaurants and visiting wineries. In addition to cooking, her interests include writing her journal and helping people with any questions about Italian life. She's a basket maker, and enjoys reading and gardening. Luther was born in Ohio and grew up all over because he was from a military family. He's an electrical engineer by degree and morphed into an IT guy and has a master's from the University of Maryland. He is a self-taught wine expert. He is very interested in languages and is fluent in German and Italian. That must come in handy as he loves to travel.
So, hi, Nancy. Please send our regards to Luther. We understand he's unable to join us this morning. Before we begin, today is June 4, 2022, and the exchange rate, luckily for us, is easy. €1 is $1.07. So for the purposes of our conversation, this should be pretty simple. Nancy, it's been some years since you moved abroad, but please think back to the beginning and share with us how you and Luther decided to make the big leap and why Umbria.
Hello, and thanks for inviting me on your show. Back 2014, so it was 8 years ago, but I will go back to the 1990s when we lived in Germany and really enjoyed living in a different lifestyle, enjoyed the different culture, the different language. We decided when we went back home that we wanted to return to Europe to live, and we're not able to find a way to come back until we just retired. So we decided when we retired, we would go back. And during that 20 years, we did travel, and we had France and, all around, but it seemed like Italy was the one that drew us the most. So we came and visited it many times. And when we decided we were moving here, we knew that you can't just come to the entire country. You have to narrow it down. So many people, when they're deciding to move to a new place, they're just overwhelmed with the different choices.
Yeah.
So for us, my husband would have liked to have lived in Sicily. I like Sicily a lot, but it's not easy to get to. For me, it was important that my family could come and visit me and my friends, and that I could travel. So I thought we have to be somewhere where it's easier. And we had been to Umbria. It's a very beautiful region, very green and verdant and bucolic and quiet and calm. And so we decided to come and explore our possibilities for a house here. Because it's central, it has railway lines that connect it to Rome and to Florence and to the coasts. It has an airport with quite a few international flights. It's 1.5 hours from either coast, 2 hours from Florence, 2 hours from Bologna, and 2.5 hours from Rome if you're driving, from the airport. We can actually get to the city, in the main train station in Rome, in an hour and 15 minutes if you take the fast train. And there is one fast train that goes every day to and from Rome. So anyway, we decided it was easy to reach. It's very convenient, I guess is the right word. And for me, I have friends that have a house in Basilicata, which is down in right above the heel of the boot. It takes them 2 or 3 days to get to their house from Florida, because one, they don't have a good airport in Florida, so they have to travel to an airport, and that takes hours. Then they have to either get a flight and then stay somewhere else overnight, like to New York, and then from New York they have to fly to another place where they spend the night, or they connect to Rome where they have to spend the night. Then they finally take their flight to Bari, which is in Puglia. And then from there, they have to rent a car and drive 5 hours. So it's not easy. And so you really need to think about, do you want to do that every time you go visit your house?
Yeah. What city is that?
The city where they are?
Yeah.
Pistici is the name of it.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
It's close to Matera. I think everybody knows Matera. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But for me, I can fly to Rome. I could fly from Washington, D.C. to Rome in one direct flight.
Right.
And then I could drive here in 2 hours. I mean,
that's wonderful.
It's an easy trip. So
yeah.
To me, that makes a big deal. It's a huge deal for me. So
yeah.
So anyway, that's why we picked this location. And then our town. Everybody always asks, why Umbertide? Well, Umbertide is a town of about 16,000 people. It has pretty much anything you'd need. And almost everything we need is in walking distance. For us, we live in the middle of the old city. It's just real convenient in that way, too. We're right in the middle of everything. The people are friendly. It's almost like a village in the middle of a town. We're in the old city.
Mm-hmm.
So with the walls, we have walls around the whole city. So yeah, it's kind of it's interesting. But anyway, we decided after looking at other places in other areas that we found an apartment we liked. We decided this was the place. So
yeah. Great. So let me ask you, did you guys, I mean, you lived in DC, which is very international. I love DC. Did you always know that you were going to retire abroad? I mean, because you said, we were thinking about Germany, we were thinking about this. Was there ever a thought that, gee, where are we going to live? Are we going to move to, the West Coast? What was I guess it was part of who you guys are or your upbringing.
No, probably not. Well, maybe my husband, because he did live around in a lot of places, but me, my family's like blue collar. Nobody would have ever
good old USA
outside of the United States. I mean, it was so, but no, it was my husband. We traveled to Germany, and when we traveled to Germany, he decided that he wanted to live there. He didn't speak German, and he had no idea how to do that. So he taught himself German. Wow. I mean, he's a very focused kind of person.
Oh, wow.
And this was back in the 90s. No internet. You couldn't take an online course.
Oh, right.
You couldn't hear anything in another language. You couldn't.
Yes.
You had to do everything. It was hard. But he decided to do it, and he did it. And he wrote his resume in German, and he sent it off. We'd go down into Washington and pick up the big German papers every weekend, and he would have jobs, and he would send off his resume. And finally, he actually turned out that there was an ad in the Washington Post, for somebody to work in Frankfurt. He contacted that person, and they met in a bar. And he interviewed in a bar, and
I love it.
They hired him. Now, we hadn't any clue how much money we needed to live in Germany. How much was the Deutschmark? I mean, this was Deutschmarks,
Oh, my God.
How many, we were going to get this many Deutschmarks, but how much would that buy? Could we live comfortably on that? And so it was a very big leap of faith for us. But we were in our late 30s at that time, and we wanted to change, and so we just did it. So we leaped.
Good for you.
We didn't it turned out well. It might not have, but it did.
Yeah.
So we ended up really enjoying that and loving that whole language challenges that you have. And so when we went back home, which we did reluctantly, our company lost their contract with Germans. So we ended up back in the U.S. We continued to travel and everything. We just knew right away. We wanted something more interesting. We were, the United States is a great place, maybe. We decided that it's something we know so well that it's not challenging at all. It's not all that interesting to us. We wanted something. We didn't want to have to go, to the places we've been. Even if we went to the West Coast in the United States, it's really not all that different. I mean, the stores are the same. The language is the same.
Right.
It's not a challenge.
Right.
So for us, we really needed a challenge. We wanted to challenge our brains, and we wanted to do things and we love to travel, and we love history, and we love eating and drinking wine, and we love Italian wine. And so,
so why not?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's kind of a scary thing to do, to go to a different country, but at the same time, it's worthwhile.
Yeah.
For us, anyway.
Was there any kind of family pull? Do you guys have kids? I mean, was there any kind of...
See, that makes a difference.
Okay.
A lot of people probably wouldn't do it, maybe if they have grandchildren. I have family. I have a sister, and my husband has two brothers and a bunch of nieces and nephews, but they're not
that.
Well, we do have friends here that are here, living here, and have grandchildren. And they're all right with it, except for the COVID thing, because they've been difficult to visit and see them and all. But they do it this way. They do it with Skype or So.
And Europe, I mean, to me, it's not as bad. It's like my mom, when she was alive, she'd go to China, And talk about a trip, but that trip to the boot, the heel, sounds even longer to get back and forth.
But I think you'll say you wanted to go to Sicily. It's the same thing when you've got to get across water to get there. I mean,
yeah.
So, there's ways to do it, but it takes quite a bit of time. And
because I remember when she would go, it would be like an 18-hour flight with the connection. It was just like, you get there and then you're on this lag for, probably 2 days. So that's why she'd go for a month to be able to enjoy it and soak it in. Mm-hmm. Okay. That was great. Yes. That was great.
So once you decided to go to Umbria, how did you find an apartment, and why did you select an apartment instead of buying a place?
Oh,
you did buy it. Okay.
Yeah. But when we came, we made, before we came, I'm one of those people that's real organized. So before we came, I made appointments with different realtors to come. But I also was nervous about a new place and being taken advantage of. I think that's something people worry about. And and not knowing the language and back then I didn't know. I Googled and then found one or two people who had some blogs in this area, and I reached out to them. And from them, I learned I got a real estate agent in this town who's British and has been an agent for 30 years here. And he's the one that found a place for us to stay for 3 weeks, an apartment of a friend of his that we stayed in. And another person also lives here, and I read his blog, which was really short, but it was, it's always information gathering. When we came, we hooked up with Jim, our agent. He showed us some places, and over the time we were here, he didn't know what we wanted, and we weren't all that sure what we wanted. And it finally became clear what we wanted, and he got at the end, right, almost when we were getting ready to leave, about a week later, he found 3 places that we liked all at once. So,
wow.
And we also looked in other places with other agents, and it just never could find anything. Nowadays it's easier because there's the big websites where you can look at listings, and it's not nearly as hard. But anyway, we found this place. We decided this was the place for us. So
okay, so this is a house. Is it one level? What's the structure?
Well, we're in the middle of we're right next to the piazza, which is the main square.
Wow.
Nice.
So the window that the light is coming from there overlooks the piazza. And on the back side of our house, we're on the walls of the city. Out the back, we see farms and mountains. We're next to the Tiber River, which is the river that goes to Rome.
Wow. Yeah. Nice.
And it's pretty. It's a nice view and everything. And we have a terrace, so it's big. We're on the top floor, 4th floor, American.
Walk up.
Yes, walk up. It's 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, living room, kitchen, pantry. We have a full attic and a terrace.
Wow.
With terraces, we've got room for gardening, because I do like to cook. Place we can eat outside.
Yeah, have your own herbs growing there. So what was the pricing like when you were looking, and so forth?
In 2014, it was much more expensive than it is now.
Oh, more expensive.
Prices have gone way down, way down.
Oh, it's gone reverse?
Yes.
Oh, well, they don't. Real estate is not an investment here. You don't expect to make any money on your real estate investment.
Okay.
And it will take a very long time to sell your house if you want to.
Right.
I recommend to people rent before you buy. But anyway, I'm happy with our house, except it is for sale. I mean, we have it on the market. It's been on the market for 3 years. But that'll give you an idea.
Yeah. Wow.
Things just do sit on the market here. But a lot of it had to do with COVID, because there were 2 whole years when nobody came, nobody looked, nobody wanted to move, nobody could move.
Right.
Right. So you have to figure that, really it's been on the market for maybe a year until this year. And just this year we are having more people look at it. To give you an idea, we paid 250,000 euros for it.
Oh, nice.
But then the exchange rate was not nearly as good as it is now. Much more advantageous now to buy a house here. Dollar is real strong. But anyway, we bought the house, and it was pretty livable just the way it was, but it wasn't the way we wanted it. So we did renovate it. We moved the kitchen from a small itty bitty space into a bigger room. And we did lighting and just air conditioning and, whatever, screens on the windows and just things that many people like. And so we put about 65,000 euros into the renovation. So you can figure we have about 335,000 euros in the house. And it's listed for 215,000 now.
Oh my goodness.
And we can't get it. Or so far, we have not gotten it. So we will get it eventually. But
And why are you selling?
Fourth floor.
And why? Oh, that's why.
Yeah. I was going to say.
So you're going to buy another place in the same town?
I have really bad knees. I've had 2 knee replacements here.
Oh, wow.
And in this, I can do the stairs still, but I'm 71 years old. I'm not getting any younger, and this is probably not the place to age out. So
I have knee issues now. That's why when I go to the basement, it's become rarer. It's just hard to navigate.
I have to do it to get out of the place. So
yeah, exactly, exactly. Right.
But so anyway, we'll sell it eventually. People are looking, and people like it, so they will. It's a big decision for people.
Yeah. And do you plan on moving into the same town?
We're staying in Umbria, probably. Yeah.
Okay.
But we can't really look much until we sell it. So.
Sure.
Yeah, absolutely. What are rentals like? Apartment rental costs?
Well, they're very inexpensive. In our town, you could probably get a 1-bedroom, 1 bath for 300 euros a month.
Oh,
wow.
Okay. And it has to be a 12-month lease, right? Are they pretty rigid or?
It's all negotiable, but it's more expensive the shorter the lease is. The leases here are really, the normal leases are called 4x4s or 3x2s. That means you rent it for 4 years at a particular rent, and you have an option for 4 more. Same with the 3x2. So they're really long. They're not short.
Yeah.
Right.
And you usually negotiate an escape clause in there. So you
in case.
need to get out of it.
No, I asked because if we were to check out an area in Europe to come and stay for 3 or so months, could we easily get an apartment? But you just answered it. It depends, right? That would be
a short-term lease. And so you can find them. One of the big consolidator sites has something called Affitto Breve, which is short-term leases, which are less than the 4x4s.
Oh, okay.
But you could always do the Airbnb, or you can negotiate a lower price. But it's not as it is for a short time like that. It's more expensive.
And just to remind people, you're in a town called Umbertide. How do you say that?
Umbertide. Umbertide.
Well, I would say Umbertide.
Umbertide. Okay. Yeah.
So we have a friend here that rents an apartment. She's an American, and she doesn't have a visa to live here. So she has to do the 90 days in, 90 days out.
Yeah,
which
the
is
Schengen.
what you have to do. She rents an apartment year-round. She just keeps it because it's cheap.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah,
that makes sense.
And all of her stuff is there. It's like she lives here. So when she comes, she doesn't have to pack anything. She's an artist, so all of her paints and things are here, and she just keeps it. It's really not that expensive to do that.
Yeah, and they come furnished usually, right? The places.
Yeah. Many of them do. Most of them do actually, but
yeah. You
never know about the furniture, though.
Yeah, of course.
I just a big discussion the other day about furniture, and the landlords tend to put the furniture in their apartment that they don't want.
Oh, right. That makes sense.
So you get their cast-offs.
Oh, my God.
And it's there.
Yeah.
You have to negotiate if you want him to take that stuff out.
Right. Same with the Airbnb. That's why, I'd rather go somewhere that's kind of more anonymous than live in someone's lived-in home. But these are all the things you have to factor in.
What about, do you know about pricing of homes?
Yeah. Like I said, this one here is $215.
No, but what about a home that's not an apartment? A
house in the country you can get for a couple $100,000 for a small place with not a lot of land. That maybe might need a little bit of work. But I know people in the hills around here that have sold their places for $2 million.
Right. Sure.
Mhm.
So, I mean, yeah, you can, there's some beautiful, beautiful big casale, they call them casales here, that are just incredible, but they're enormous. I mean, like,
Yeah. Mansion.
8,000 square feet,
Oh, my Lord.
Because back in the day, the families all lived together.
True.
And so you had the grandparents, the kids, the married couples, they all lived in this big, huge house.
Right.
They all did the farm together. That was what it was all about. So but the places many of them were derelict. A lot of people came in from like England, for instance, and bought these old ruins and made them into amazing places to live with pools and gardens. And they're just incredible. Yeah. And those cost you a lot of money, but you can easily get a place for, I don't know, 300,000 euros.
Yeah.
Easy. Yeah. For a decent, nice-ish place, not a fancy font,
Yeah. No, absolutely.
It's like in the U.S.,
Right. It's your choice. Exactly. Yeah. What about property tax?
There's no property tax on a prima casa, which is the house you live in. If you bought a house here and you didn't want to live in it full time, you didn't want to become a resident, then you would pay taxes. And it's not a lot, though. It's not like in the U.S. It's just a few €100 a year.
Got it.
So is that for any age or just for somebody over 60?
No, that's anybody.
Anybody.
Yeah.
Nobody pays taxes on their primary house here.
Unless it's a fancy home, right? Is that correct?
That's true. There is a luxury house tax.
All right. So those mansions.
The fancy places I was just telling you about, yes, there will be tax.
Okay. That makes sense.
It's still not as bad as in the U.S. I mean, I know how much I paid in Alexandria, Virginia.
Sure. Yeah. A lot.
More than $8,000 a year. That was 8 years ago. So I figured $10,000 now.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Easy.
That's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money. Yeah.
Yeah. And the
cost, I saved that much. People are always writing and saying they're not going to come here and pay taxes here because the taxes are higher here. But I say, think about the things that you don't pay here, like property taxes. I mean, I saved $10,000 a year just on that. I don't pay any state taxes here like I did in Virginia. And that's another $10,000. I don't pay much for healthcare. It's cheap here. It's hardly anything. So, all those, you put all those together, it's almost a wash, really.
I think I could ask, what's the maintenance on your apartment?
None. The building is probably around 400 years old.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
But it's, over the years it changed it and it's been renovated. Our building is 4 floors and each floor is an apartment. Well, I shouldn't say that. The top 3 floors are one apartment. And then the bottom floor is an alimentari, which is like a little convenience grocery store.
Mm-hmm.
Real sweet man there. His name is Angelo. Owns it, and
Mm-hmm.
he's a good friend of ours. And if you need anything, pretty much if you've run out of something, you can run downstairs and he has it. And it's
that's convenient. That's really,
So that's our building. We haven't had any issues with our building except the front door lock had to be replaced. The guy downstairs decided to replace it, and we gave him €30 to fix it.
Oh, wow.
So,
so there's no monthly maintenance fee?
No, we don't have a condo here. Condominium.
Okay.
Some places do, but they're not the same as in the U.S. I used to be on an HOA, but they used to do escrow accounts and things for future issues. They don't do that here. They just have a group of the people some of them have a group of people in the building, and they have meetings and things. If there's going to be a big expense, they all pay for it. They don't pay it monthly generally. Yeah. Some places do. It's handled differently everywhere.
And what about utilities and internet costs and things like that?
Well, internet's really inexpensive here, €30 a month. Phones are really cheap, like 30-ish,
Mm-hmm.
Well, that stuff is really cheap. Not like the U.S. I mean, we used to spend hundreds of dollars for it. We do have satellite TV. We have satellite TV. Most people don't, but we have Sky TV, which is a British satellite thing, TV. But mostly we just do all of if we watch TV, we do a lot of movies and shows and things because we can do Apple TV and we can do
streaming,
Netflix and stuff. So, yeah.
Oh, great.
But it's really inexpensive. That sort of thing is really inexpensive. Utilities are expensive here. They've gone up 40% this year. So it's really hard
40?
to say 40.
Oh, man.
Wow.
I think it was artificially held down. The government decided not to, and then the Ukraine war happened. Italy gets a lot of its gas and energy from Russia, so it is a problem in that way right now, but it'll work itself out. But the thing is that I can't really give you prices for our utilities because this has changed so much just in this year. Before, it used to be around 150 euros a month for everything.
Okay, that's gas, electric.
Yeah, and water.
Okay. And water. Okay.
And it's different in town. Town is cheaper. If you're in the country, it's more expensive. Mm-hmm. I'd say it's probably at least twice that now.
Oy. All right. Let's talk a bit about groceries. That sounds really nice. And I know you enjoy cooking, yes?
I do.
Aside from your buddy downstairs, where do you normally go food shopping? Do you need a car?
No, because we're walking distance. Two grocery stores are within. Well, there's one just a few minutes from us. Okay, it's a nice store. It's a Carrefour, which is a French firm, Carrefour.
Okay.
And it's a nice little grocery store. It's just been. It was a different one, and then they closed for a long time, and then they renovated it, and it's reopened, and it's real nice. It has pretty much anything you need. But there's some things that you can't get in that one, and then there are other ones in our town, and you can walk there, but it would be hard to carry all your stuff back. Mm-hmm. So we drive there. We will bring it back and unload it in front of our place and park our car because we can't park here.
There's no parking.
Park outside of the walls.
Okay. Okay. But you have designated parking with your...
No, not in our town. Many towns do, but this one does not. We can park anywhere we can find a place.
Okay. Is it hard to find parking by you?
No, not at all.
Oh, okay. I understand, like in Marquay, they have fish trucks that come by. Is that the case for you?
We have a fish truck that comes. Well, we have 2 markets here a week.
Oh.
And it's right outside of our house. I mean, I can literally walk down the stairs, turn right, and if I were going to give you a little tour, I'd walk down the stairs, I'd turn right, and I'd walk past Angelo's Elementary, and the next thing you get to is the Bar Mary. And Bar Mary is a little bar with tables outside and umbrellas, and it's quite.
Oh, wow! I love that. That's what I want.
It's owned by 2 sisters, Mary and Irene. They're sweet as can be, and you can get your coffee there in the morning, and you can get a drink in the afternoon, an aperitivo. And then there's another bar right just across from them, and then the whole rest of the piazza is taken up by tents. The vendors who are selling things.
Wow, you live in an ideal place.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
It is actually a pretty great place.
Yeah.
But we have 2. We have a big one on Wednesdays, and it's in the piazza here. We have a fish truck. Mm-hmm. We have 2 fish trucks, and then we have a bunch of produce and several cheese people and also have prosciutto and things like that. And then they have something called porchetta, which is have you heard of porchetta?
Only from reading.
It's kind of a specialty. It's a whole pig, which they bone the whole thing, and they put herbs and things inside of it, and then they sew it back up, and they cook it for 12 hours.
Wow.
Overnight. And then when it's done, I mean, they have this big kind of rolled up pig and they just can slice it, and the skin is like real crunchy, like pork rinds or something.
Yeah.
And the inside's got some fat in it, and they put it on a panino on a bread thing for you. I mean, it is like crack, really. It's so good.
There you go. Anyway, crack in Umbria.
We have several trucks that come to the market, but that also the Wednesday market has a whole rest part of the town, a whole big space with a whole bunch of other vendors that all sell clothing, cookware. It's like Kmart comes to town.
Yeah, but nice stuff. Yeah.
Some of it is. It's different. You have the good stuff, and some of the, where they are because I shop, I know where they are. But then if you go down the street a little further, There's these big tables just piled with clothing, just piled, and you just root through it.
Oh my
And
God.
it's €1 for each thing.
What?
Oh my God.
Wait, and is this new?
No, this is normal.
No.
Is the
The clothing
They're new
new?
clothes. Yeah, they're new clothes. Yeah.
What?
Wow.
Usually they're old designer clothes and things from, that have been just
Oh my
outdated or
God.
whatever.
But still, that's
Oh my
great.
God, I have to book the trip.
You can usually find stuff there. I mean, if you diligently
Oh no,
search.
Gene and I, we are flea marketers, antiquers. I mean, we like going through stuff. I mean, I know it sounds a little crazy, but it's the treasure hunt,
Oh, well, you'd love this then.
Oh my God. And are there like antique things also? Like a flea market?
Not in the normal regular weekly market, but we do have an antique flea market in our piazza the first Sunday of every month.
Okay,
Wow.
remember the first
This is the place
Sunday.
you want to live, Gil.
Yeah, this sounds like we
You can
want to
also
live.
do that. I mean, a lot of places do that, and it seems like the first Sunday or the first weekend of every month is a big flea market in a lot of towns. Like Arezzo is a big town in Tuscany, not too far from us, and it has one of the most famous of the big antique markets.
Ooh,
So.
Arezzo.
Wow.
Okay, got it.
And what about going out to eat? Is it mostly Italian food, or can you get other types of food?
It's mostly Italian food.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't you hear in our own introduction?
Yes. That's right.
Were you
That's
not
right.
listening
Never
to
heard
me?
that from somewhere.
I mean, you can if you're, and it depends on where you are. Here, it is real traditional. People don't eat anything. Okay, there are in Perugia, which is just the big city here. They do have like sushi places. There's Mexican place. There's a couple of Mexican places. There's a place in a little town. Oh, like Assisi. You've probably heard of Assisi. Everybody heard of Assisi.
Yes.
Yeah.
The town beneath Assisi on the flat part has a place that has tacos and all kinds of some interesting things. We go there because we're always looking for us. It's nice to have something different.
Yeah.
Normal food, normal eating out is regular Italian food. It's Umbrian food. I mean,
Okay.
You can get all kinds of types of Umbrian food from the basic recipe that they've been serving here for hundreds of years, or you can get a restaurant that might be a little bit more upscale, and they're doing a little more different things.
Yeah, I understand the prices in restaurants may vary, but can you get good deals in restaurants in Umbria?
Oh yeah, you can. Yeah, some of the places if you know where to go, you can get a whole meal for €15, 3 courses, including wine.
Wow, that's great.
Per person.
And what about when you go to a cafe, a cup of cappuccino? I know it's nothing like the cost in the U.S., right?
No, it's €1.10.
Oh,
wow. That kills you, huh, Gil?
Espresso is €1.
Oh, nice. Very
I mean,
nice.
like you can get an aperitivo, which it would be, and I'm sure you've heard of Aperol Spritz. It's real popular in the U.S. too. I thought you might have heard of it.
We're like bumpkins.
You're in New York. Come on.
I'm just a cappuccino and latte girl.
Aperol Spritz is Aperol, which is a liqueur.
Mm-hmm.
Prosecco.
Oh, Prosecco. Okay.
And soda water.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
And it's in a glass. It's bright orange and has ice cubes and an orange slice.
Yeah. And what do they charge for that?
$3.50.
Wow.
Okay.
And it comes with snacks.
What?
Wow.
Like happy hour, Gene. Happy hour all day.
It's aperitivo. That's what they call it.
Aperitivo.
Right.
Oh, aperitivo. Yes, I've heard aperitivo.
Or
I thought you said something else.
Another word they say is apericena. Apericena is the word for dinner.
Oh.
And apero is the apero with the drink. So you put them together, and it's a heavier. It's a selection of more heavy-ish appetizer-y things.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it depends on where you go. Some bars are like just potato chips, right?
Yeah. Oh, how cheap.
Some bars have, Bar Mary is potato chips, to be honest.
Okay. I'm not a liquor person. I usually ask for a very, very strong diet Coke or Pepsi on the rocks. Extra rocks.
That's a problem. Rocks are a problem here.
I heard. When we got married in Florence, we couldn't get an ice anything. It was like they gave you maybe 2 cubes. And I'm thinking, excuse me, I need a full cup of ice.
You got that. And what would the price be for a large pizza, say?
A large pizza is about €8.
That's great. Wow. I'm there.
That's less than half, Gene, of what you're used to.
Let's move on to what if you want to get out of Umbria? You said there's an airport in Umbria. How far is that from you?
It's about 20 miles, maybe.
Oh, that's not bad.
That's great.
20 minutes or so to get.
And can you get inexpensive flights to other parts of Europe?
Oh, yeah. It's even more better this year than it's ever been. We have flights all over. Most of them are the lower cost airlines. We do have British Air coming in now, which we've never had before. And they come from London.
Yeah, yeah.
We have a lot of British people here. So back and forth to England is a big deal. So they've always had Ryanair flying to, there's an airport north of London called Stansted, which is where it flew. But you can take, from there you can take the train into London. But also you can go to the other parts of England. And it's cheap, really cheap, yeah. And then you can fly all around different parts in Italy. Like you can go to Sicily, Catania. You can go to Sardinia. You can go to Bari in places around mostly places like that. There's a flight to Bucharest. Oh. There's Albania, Brussels, Hamburg, Germany, just a whole bunch of Malta, a lot of places. Yeah.
France, you can get to France and all that.
I don't think they fly to France.
Okay. So you would connect then to another, to a larger city.
You could fly
to London or whatever.
Germany or something and pick up a flight.
And that's a short flight. Okay. I want to talk about healthcare. And I know that you mentioned earlier that it's obviously, we all know everything's cheaper than in the United States of America, which medical care is a nightmare. So are you a resident?
Yes, we're residents and we are on the national health care.
And how does that work? And what do you pay out of pocket for anything?
Well, what we have to do is if you're not a citizen of Italy, so like us that we're retired and we're not citizens, we have to pay a percentage of our income. So it's 7.5% of our income for a year of coverage. So, and they only care about like Social Security. We give them our Social Security. I pay €1,400 for the year.
For one person. Yeah. Okay.
Everything else is free.
Oh, it's amazing.
Wow.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
It depends on what you make too. There's tiers. So if you make a lot of money, then you will pay a little bit for your prescriptions. And it's all depends on where you are. And it's like I had my knees replaced twice. One knee replaced twice, and I didn't pay anything for that.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Although I will say that to learn how to use the system is a little difficult because it's so completely different than the United States. I mean, first off, it's not bottom line oriented, which is the reason the American system is so broken.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all for profit. It's not for profit here. It's not. It's a state thing,
Right. It's to help people get well.
Pretty much. And if you're a tourist and come here and have an accident or something, you get free emergency care. I mean, they don't charge you anything for that. They're just because it's, what's the right thing to do, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely.
To work the system, though, so it's just, a lot of times you have to wait for things, although I understand from some friends in the States that sometimes you have to wait even in the U.S. to get something done.
Oh, yeah.
But anyway, here, if it's something that's not an emergency, sometimes you have to wait for it. But if you want it now, you can go private. Okay. And so private, you pay for it, but it's like ridiculous, inexpensive. I mean, I had an MRI of my knee before I had my operations, and I paid for that myself because I wanted to get it and take it to the doctor with me. And I paid €126 for the MRI.
Oh, that's wonderful.
I think MRIs in the U.S. are
thousands.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's insane.
That, but it's a lot of money. Yeah.
And x-rays are, really cheap. And if you wanted to consult a specialist, which for me, the way I do it is, I wanted to pick my doctor. You have a general practitioner for your primary care doctor. You go to that person for everything. And she gives you prescriptions for what you need. So if you want to have a blood test done, she gives you a prescription for that. And you go and have that done. And it doesn't cost you. Say I wanted to go to get my knee replaced and I wanted to pick the doctor. Kind of important to know who's going to be doing this.
Sure.
Right.
You can't really do that you just kind of take the luck of the draw. And so for me, I decided, well, I will pay for a consultation with a doctor that I picked. And it cost 150 euros. And he said, you need a knee replacement. I will put you in the system. And so he put me in the system. And from then on, there was no charge. So once you're into the system. So you do pay sometimes to do something like that. But the prices for specialists and tests and things is much less here. Much.
Okay. He put you in the system, but then for the operation, do you get him or you get whoever they get?
Yeah, I get him. No, I get him.
You still get him.
Oh, so you get to pick someone. Great.
No,
that's worth it.
Is it worth it to pick the doc and pay for the first appointment? And then he does the surgery and everything. But
that was a good question, because I thought that once you found someone you liked to do the consult, but then he put you in the system, meaning you would go into this.
Yeah,
by that I just mean
Sure.
scheduled and everything for the surgery, but he's the one that does it. So
great.
Yeah.
Okay. What about dental care and things like that?
That's not covered here. So you have not terribly expensive. I mean, we had our teeth cleaned and it cost 65 euros.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, it's not bad.
But anything major like an implant and stuff like that, that's
you have to pay for all that. It's not covered by insurance.
Right. But it's still probably reasonable.
It's not that bad. No, I've had friends that had crowns done and things like that for it's more expensive, I guess, it's maybe, I think he paid around 1,000 euros for the crown.
Okay.
So I don't know that that's that much less than in the U.S.
Right. Okay. That sounds about the same.
Do most of the doctors and dentists speak English?
No.
Okay. So that brings me to, I guess you have to learn Italian where you are. How is your Italian?
Well, her husband speaks fluent.
Yeah, he's fluent.
He's fluent. I've been taking lessons this whole time, and I do speak Italian.
Oh wow!
But sometimes it's hard. Some things are hard to understand. More technical things like especially when it comes to your healthcare, it is kind of important to understand what's going on. If you're not really fluent, then because I spent a lot of time in the hospitals. Mm-hmm. They don't just kick you out of the hospital here. You stay for weeks.
Wow.
Wow,
I hope it's comfortable.
My first knee replacement was in a gigantic university hospital in Perugia, which is not far away. And it was typical what you'd think of as a big institution, university, lot is huge, terrible food, terrible service, the nurses were mean. I mean,
it sounds the same.
Wasn't what I call a great experience. They're funny that they give you nurses do nurse things, but they don't have people that do care things. Like, do you want water? Then somebody else has to get you water.
Oh my goodness.
So they expect your family to be there, actually.
Oh yeah, I've heard this. Yeah. Oh my God. So that's a little weird. If you don't have family,
I thought the same thing. There has to be ways that you can get somebody to help you with.
Yeah, you get paid someone.
For me, I couldn't get out of bed. I mean, it was
right. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I had to ask my roommate's husband to get me ice things, for my knee. But he spent the night every night in the room.
Oh, wow.
Oh, my God.
And you see the people going down the halls, and they have these chaise lounge things that they sleep on.
Oh, that's great.
And they bring them in and out. And that's what they expect. Now, that was that hospital. But the second.
And that's a huge university hospital.
Let's hear about the second hospital.
But that's why it was like that.
Oh, I see.
Because it's like a public kind of thing.
Yeah.
So the second place that I went with a different doctor, well, they said the first knee implant failed. So the implant itself failed. So when I got this, I had another doctor that I really liked a lot. I had to wait 8 months for that first operation to get my time. The second doctor could have put me in next week because he worked with a private hospital.
I see.
It's really different. When I went, I got in, it was really nice, really good food, really nice nurses, everything I could have possibly wanted. Water, breakfast, crackers. Would you like tea in the afternoon? You have some tea.
Oh my God.
It was really nice. And then in the same facility, they had a whole physical therapy section on the top floor where every day everybody was herded off to the physical therapy. We all had to do the physical therapy.
Yeah.
It was fun because I didn't speak much Italian, and I was was very exciting. My roommate was from Bari, which is down in Puglia, all the way down south.
Yeah.
She didn't speak Italian. She only spoke Barese, which is the
my
God. The two of us,
you sign language. Drink.
One of the physical therapists laughed and said it was a good thing we were roommates because neither one of us spoke Italian.
Well, on the flip side of that, I kind of like that because I don't like to talk to people. So it's like,
So that was at a private hospital. Did you have to pay for that or was it still free?
Yeah, because there's a requirement for the private hospitals to have to take a certain number of patients.
Oh.
Interesting.
So it's the same care, but...
Right. It's a good thing you fit right into that pool. Could you imagine if they couldn't?
No, It was a completely different experience.
Yeah, if you're going to spend a week anywhere, I mean, I can't spend more than 2 nights in one of these hospitals. I'm ready to jump out the window.
And I was there for 3 weeks.
Oh my!
So,
wow.
I mean, that's how long they keep you here.
That's the norm.
Yeah. Well, like the first hospital that I was at kept me for a week after the operation, but then they booked me into a physical therapy unit, and I stayed there for 2 weeks.
Okay.
Oh, nice.
Okay.
And let's move on to what's the visa process like? What was that like for you?
Well, we have the elective residency visa, which is what most retired people get. And you have to have enough money to be able to support yourself in the different consulates. They don't publish that number of that much, but it's around $3,000 for a single person a month, plus about 20% if you're a couple.
But also it depends on where you're living in Italy, right?
Some people say that, but that was not my experience. The people that we dealt with didn't ask where we were going to be.
Oh.
So
okay.
I know Mark says that's true, but that isn't something that I found to be the case for us.
Got it.
Oh, interesting.
So you said it was about $3,000?
About $3,000 for a single person.
Okay.
And the 20% extra if you're a couple.
Okay.
Got
it.
Per month.
Like per month. And then that has to be documented passive monthly income. It's not savings that so much is important to them.
So liquid.
It's more this income stream that you have.
Okay.
So for us, we used Social Security and we created some annuities from our 401k money. And that paid us enough to be able to qualify for it. So
Oh, nice.
Okay. And we do. I think the hardest thing, though, is to have an address, because you have to have an address when you go to apply. So that means you have to have signed a lease or have bought a house, pretty much.
Oh,
so
wow.
You have to have, and I think
kind
that's
of backwards.
Biggest hurdle, because it's almost like, a leap of faith that you're going to get that.
Right.
Visa.
Right.
You have to buy a house, when you don't get the visa, what are you going to do? Right.
Right. That's kind of backwards. That's kind of like when we were getting married, we had to get all these millions of things. We didn't know we had to get witnesses in Italy. We had to get 4 witnesses in the United States, which was easy, of course. And then when we got to Italy, we had to get 2 witnesses. We're like, we found these beautiful, wonderful 2 college students studying art in Florence who sat right behind us at a restaurant, and we turned around and said, would you like to be and they were like, yes. One was like from Oregon, and of course we lost touch.
That's a cute story. I like
It's so cute. I know. I have to find them because we promised that we would send them pictures, stay in touch. We never did. Yeah. We're such horrible people. No, I'm going to go back to our photos and find them. We will find them. Okay.
All right.
Okay. So the visa process we talked about, which is good. Healthcare.
So Umbria is reasonably priced, especially compared to Tuscany, you were saying, right?
Yes.
Because of that, do you find that more and more expats are discovering Umbria?
Again, it depends on probably the part of Umbria. Certain parts seem to attract. So, and our area has got a lot of the British here, I guess, and it's been for over the year. Like I told you about the big old ruined buildings that they bought up 30 years ago, and that, for nothing. And then they renovated them into these beautiful estates, so they're all around. And so that we still have a lot of British people here, but like certain parts of Umbria are not at all. Like I have a friend that lives in a town called Foligno, which is it's a nice town. It's on a main train line. It's very convenient. I think it's got about 100,000 people, maybe less than that. Nobody's ever heard of it. And nobody goes there. And there's nobody there that's non-Italian. I mean, just different. It's different for different places. So
Yeah.
And have you been embraced by the locals in Umbria?
they're very sweet. Everybody knows we're Americans. I mean, it's like, we have a few different, not many Americans here, but some. We have two guys that live across from us in the building, in the piazza, that they're a couple. They're Americans. And then one of the people I met before I even moved here, they had a house here. They were Americans. All the Italians knew the Americans, and they're all very friendly to us. I mean, they're never felt at all excluded. Always felt very
Oh, nice.
What
Nice.
about people of color? Have you any residents from, different places, and whether they're embraced? And I'm just
well, we do have a couple that bought a house apartment next to in the building next to us. They were Americans too, and that they're actually a lesbian biracial couple. So you've got a lot of things going on there.
Yeah.
And they're perfectly accepted. Nobody says anything about it. We do have a lot of immigrants, though, from like Africa.
Uh-huh.
So you do have a lot of it is a different class. If you're an African American, who comes, that's one thing. Different class than Moroccan, somebody from Syria.
Oh.
So we do have, they aren't as accepted. A lot of them are Muslims as well. And we have a mosque here in town. And there was a huge fight about the mosque because they were building the mosque without permission, without bringing up to the residents of Umbertide. So there was a huge deal because it was like they were doing it kind of secret.
Yeah.
Because the mayor was getting a kickback and
Oh my goodness.
Anyway, so they stopped the building for a long time, and then they limited it because it was going to be really big, and they were afraid that it would become a very large mosque, which would bring so many more people in.
Make people uncomfortable, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they don't accept. It's Catholic here. They don't accept.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
People like they're not as. Mostly, they're pretty sweet about it. But
I'm just curious. Are there Asians? Have you seen Asians there? I know they're
I have
Japanese.
a friend, Lisa, forgotten her last name now. Anyway, she's Canadian, Chinese Canadian, and she's been here for a long time.
Oh.
Very happy. Okay. Always been accepted. There aren't a lot.
Yeah.
I shouldn't say that. There are a number of Chinese garment factory workers here.
Oh.
Which I don't see. I have no idea exactly where they all live, but I do know that they are here making...
In Umbria. Huh.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
North of us, in the city north of us, not in this town.
Oh, okay. But, that's interesting.
So there are quite a few there. But I mean, that's a big industry here in Italy in general.
Right.
So.
But an Asian factory.
Yeah, there's a lot of, in fact, that's the reason that COVID was such a big deal here, because we were first, if you remember.
Yes.
Because
that's right.
the Chinese came.
Yes.
From Wuhan and stuff.
Yes.
And brought it to Milan. And then from Milan, it spread in the north. And that was how it happened.
Yes. Our former president reminded us that.
I just have one thing, an interesting question, I think. You've called Umbria the real Italy. What do you mean by that?
Oh, well, I guess I mean because it doesn't have a lot of tourists. It still has retained its traditional values and traditions, for growing crops. They plant them on a certain day, moon phases and the old ways. And that's kind of what I mean. They haven't given that up yet. They are still, and I could use the word backwards. I guess maybe they are in their own way. They're not sophisticated people at all. Farmers and peasant type people, there's others too, but that's a general feeling of Umbria. It is bucolic, it is farm, it's agricultural, and it's just real the way Italy was before, like Tuscany was found by tourists. It's like Tuscany only, 40 years ago, before Tuscany was discovered.
Say the land is as pretty as Tuscany.
It is. It's just as pretty. It is the same, almost this. Well, I shouldn't say the same. Tuscany is more arid, and they have large. If you go over there in the summertime, there's large areas that are just brown and dirt where they've dug up the crops and they haven't planted anything. So it's not here. We're called the green heart of Italy.
Mm-hmm.
And because it's really green here all the time. It's the most green place you've ever seen, probably, except maybe Ireland or something,
Yeah.
It's just, a lot of fun. And we have quite a few mountains. We do have the big Apennine mountains that are seismic. So we've had a number of earthquakes in the big mountains. Those are the big mountains that are created by the earthquakes.
Yeah.
We're kind of west of that. So we do get earthquakes, but not bad ones. And we've never had any damage in our town since I've been here. Okay. We were here for the 2016 earthquakes that killed 300 people over there in more eastern Umbria. But we have those, and they're neat. They're cool. You can see them if you're in the right place in this area. You can look over and see them towering up, covered with snow, and quite amazing mountains. Yeah. Here we have more of a rounded Blue Ridge type mountains.
Interesting.
Like Virginia, which is where I'm from. So,
so you feel right at home.
Softer, more rounded, and not as tall.
I know we've kept you on for quite some time, but I'd be remiss, and I'm sorry, if I didn't ask you, what about like people with interests who would like to take classes and things like either pottery or what's available for, I guess, recreation, including sports, I guess I'll include. Just give us a short, brief if you can.
Well, sports are always a popular thing just about everywhere. And you can join groups. Like we have probably everything, but bicycling, is a huge deal here. Mm-hmm. And they have groups that do bike trips constantly. There's hiking trips. There's lots of artists. There's plenty of cooking school. We're known for ceramics here. So you can take lots of classes for ceramics. Deruta is a town.
Okay.
Do you know Deruta?
No, I'm writing it down. Deruta.
It's famous. It's probably one of the most famous place for Italian ceramics.
Nice.
They have classes there too. It's the entire town is just nothing but ceramics. I mean, if you don't make ceramics and sell ceramics, you make the kilns that they make the ceramics in. I mean, or you get the clay that they use.
Wow.
So it's really a big deal in that particular town. And so whenever we have guests, of course, everybody wants to go to Deruta and buy things because and they're really beautiful. I mean, I have a ton.
Oh man. Okay.
There's so many wine places and you can do tastings and there's all kinds of tours of wineries and you can get involved with that. We have something, you've probably heard of slow food movement.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Started out up in the north, but we have our own in this particular part of Italy. We're in the upper Tiber Valley, which is the top. It's right before you get to Emilia-Romagna, Tuscany, Marche. I mean, we're like kind of surrounded by these other parts, but the river goes up through the center of that, and it's the Tiber River, and it's a big flat valley with the mountains on the sides, and that whole area is kind of a foodways place where they try and promote the different traditional foods that people used to grow and are hard to grow, maybe work labor intensive, and they're dying out. So they're trying to keep that all going. Same with different kinds of wines that they have up here and different kinds of like meats and sausages. And it's incredible. It's very cool. They have the booth in our local market every Saturday. And last 2 weeks ago, they had bees. Guy brought all his racks of bees. And some little kids were just transfixed by these bees.
Yeah.
But sometimes they do, they have different kinds of bean. There's a bean that's only grown around the lake, Lago Trasimeno, which is just over the mountains from us. And that particular kind of bean is, you buy it dried, so you cook it in soups and things. And it's a specialty. It tastes a little bit like black-eyed peas. But they promote people to keep that going.
Oh, that's
and then
wonderful.
They have the big fishermen's association over on the lake, which all catch the fish in the old ways with the nets and the non-motorized boats. But they're fish, they're lake fish, so a lot of people don't like lake fish. Although it's clean. I did a blog on it.
Okay. We're gonna have to read it. Yeah. And your blog, Nancy Goes to Italy, it comes up right away at number 1. So I don't know if you've got some fancy SEO going on there, but we love it. We love it.
Like that, no.
Yeah, no. It's beautiful. And I want to tap your expertise on how to create one.
Oh, sure. Well,
I'm going to have to consult with you.
Happy to help.
Thank you.
We touched on it, but we're really neglected. How's the weather where you are?
Well, it's hot right now. We're having a heat wave right now.
But in general?
Yeah. In general, it's really quite nice. Wintertime is, it never gets really cold, but it does get down to, it doesn't get to, I guess it does get to freezing some, but not very often because we have olives here, and they don't tolerate
frost.
cold. Yeah. So frost. So I would say that we have about 2 months of cold weather, kind of gray and damp. So it's not my favorite time, but we have fires in the fireplaces and it's all cheery and stuff. But
I love that.
But the rest of the year, we get spring comes really early here. I'd say mid to late February, you're already getting for the forsythias and daffodils are blooming and the little tulip, the oriental magnolias or whatever they're called.
Yeah.
And then in March, all the winter wheat that they plant around here becomes like highlighter green. I've never seen anything like it. It's just, so the whole place, it's amazing. And then the summer is such a big deal here because we have the long days and it's parties. We have the piazza, the kids are out, and we have lots of fairs and fests all around. And we have, it's warm, it's hot. It gets today it's 35, which is 100, not 100. 35 is in the 90s. Upper 90s.
90 something. Yeah.
It is a heat wave right now. And so we usually have a couple of weeks of really hot, but we don't really use our air conditioning. But mostly we open the windows at night and
it cools down.
Cools off really fast here. So it's real nice. So, it's not bad. We don't, and energy being expensive, we try not to use too much.
Yeah. Well, Nancy, this was a wonderful, you made Umbria proud. Not that
it has my heart. It has my heart.
It just sounds all around just beautiful and such
but you got to come see it.
Yes. Oh my God. It sounds so
now that
nice.
I've met you,
Yeah, no, we will. I want to meet you. I want to check out the truffles and have you, No,
I was going to say though, truffles are not just one time of the year. They're all year.
Oh, they are.
The black ones and the white ones, they're different, and they're different times. So the black ones are summer truffles, and the white ones are winter truffles.
And can you go somewhere to pick them, or because I know they're very expensive in the U.S.
Here, they're not. It's an embarrassment of truffles, really. I mean, there's so many. My husband's brother and wife, and then their daughter and her husband came last October, which is our first people to come for a long time. And they were just like thrilled. And they were they come and they just shave that. And then it's like they cover it with white truffles because they were here in October.
God, you're making me starve.
And it's not expensive. I mean, I remember when I used to travel in like Switzerland, I remember spending $30 for a plate of fettuccine. You can get, it's nothing like that.
Okay.
Because there's so many of them. I mean, they're common.
That's
in fact,
so
they say our wild boar tastes really good because that's what they eat.
They eat the truffles.
Very interesting.
They smell them and find them,
Yeah. Because as you can imagine, we have 2 places I remember seeing the prices. One is Italy, place you may have heard of, and then the other is Grand Central Station, of course, has this fantastic, well, not the Grand Central when we were growing up with, but now has all these wonderful restaurants in the lower level.
Really?
I mean, oh my God. Yeah. There were always 1 or 2 big restaurants, for people who have meetings in that area and after work drinks and so forth. But now there's this like incredible array of places. And I remember I said, maybe I'll just buy a jar of the truffles. Well, yeah. If you have a couple of $100, if you have a couple of $100 for a little jar.
He brings them to our local market on Saturdays and sells them. A truffle like that might cost you 25 euros.
Okay, so that's not that.
Not cheap.
No, it's certainly not. You better get a lot out of it, No, but they make it into paste, right?
And you can go. There are places that take you on truffle hunts and things if you want. And they're fun.
They'll let us pack it in our suitcases and.
Well, they have a lot of products as well too.
That
jars of you can get the oil with the truffle. You can get the little
what's that, paste
that you can use? Paste.
Yeah, the paste. I was like,
you can buy. I have a blog.
yeah, I love your blog, man.
No, I have a friend here who wrote a book called Sustenance, and it's all about the local foods and people that produce them in the area. She took me to a place where she's friends with the people, and that's what they do. They do truffle tours. They have they do culinary classes and things like that. Yeah. But anyway, they had a whole little store with all kinds of products that they had made. She went to the refrigerator and took out just some truffles that they had found that day. And they were like enormous, incredible. I'll try and send you the link.
Yeah. And just remember, we have our Instagram account is being accessed quite a bit these days because we started late, but we started posting all our guests. So when you get a chance, if you could send over, maybe your favorite shots of Umbria, we could take up to 10 or more. It'd be great if you could include one of you and Luther, even though he's shy.
I have a pretty good one I can send.
Yeah, we would love that. Maybe.
You want me to send an email? Just an email with that?
Yeah, in an email is fine.
I actually just posted it on my Facebook page as my cover or my profile picture.
Yeah.
I will send that one to you.
Yeah, and maybe outside your house, something to give people a sense of what it's like to really live there. Because when you Google, you're not going to get this. You're going to get maybe, street photos and what have you. Did we leave anything out?
I'm just curious about one thing. You have a 3-bedroom, 2-bath apartment that you're listed for $215,000 that you're selling. That's euros, $215,000 euros.
Yes.
If I want to look at that, where can I see that?
Oh, I have a link on my blog.
It's on her blog, man.
Okay, I'll take a look at it.
If you go to my blog and then there's a menu across the top that's just static menu. Mm-hmm. One of them says Umbrian apartment.
Great.
So if you click on it, it has a lot of pictures and things.
So, Nancy, it's been more than a pleasure.
It's been great talking to you.
Yeah.
I enjoy doing this. It's fun to talk about where I live and how I do love it here. So
yeah. Did we leave
people to come? And I will say a couple of things that maybe I didn't say. One of them is people wanting to come to Italy to live. I always encourage them to know somebody in their area, especially if you don't speak Italian. It's really important to be able to find things, like being in like Mars or something.
Right.
This. And you don't know where to buy anything. You don't know where to go to the official government office to do the things you need to do
Sure.
to live here. You don't know where those places are.
Yeah.
You know anything. You need somebody
absolutely
really to have somebody that knows they can tell you where to
right.
So I really think that that's huge. And so many people talk about coming and living in someplace, like talking to somebody right now. She wants to move to northern Sardinia. And I'm like, do you know anybody there? Yeah. It's hard for me to, I wouldn't do it anyway. Some people maybe are more confident, but sometimes I think they're probably confident, but they don't really know what they're getting into either. So,
right.
So, yeah.
Well, that's good advice. We always hear rent before you buy. Obviously, check out the area. And I think many people agree with that. But we've had some guests on the show who actually bought before they even got there. And then it was like, fingers crossed.
Well, I know. I've met people that.
Yeah.
But that's really good advice to know somebody who's there. That would be really helpful. Yeah.
So thank you. Thank you again.
Okay.
And we're definitely going to come see you.
Oh, please do.
I mean, this is one
Be forewarned.
Even if I sell, I'll be in Umbria somewhere.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Lovely.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Take
Bye-bye.
care.
Bye.
Bye. We hope you've enjoyed this episode. If you know someone who's relocated for retirement and wishes to share their story with us, please reach out to us. We'd love to hear from you. Our email address is gg@retirethere.com. Our website is retirethere.com, and you may follow us on Twitter @retirethere_. Now, if you've liked our show, please subscribe and rate it in Apple Podcasts. In the meantime, be well.